Our project today is making a Valentine shadow box. This is going to be a 6-layer Valentine scene, and then we're also going to make our shadow box, and you'll be able to download all of those assets right from our resource library. So before we begin, let's go over our supplies for what we want. Of course, asset number 396 from the resource library. You can become a free member at free.creativecraftersclub.com. It's asset 396 that you will see under the resources tab. Now for the layered card itself, I used a medium cardstock in 6 coordinated colors because it's Valentine's. I use pinks and reds, as you can see in the image here, and that worked out extremely well. Now for the frame itself, I used a medium cardstock, but a heavier one would have been better to hold the whole thing together. And for the medium or heavy cardstock, you actually need 4 sheets of 12 by 12, whereas the cardstock for the insert into the shadow box, an 8.5 by 11 will work just fine. The other things you're going to need is some glue. I have an E6000 that I have been using, or a tacky glue. Both will work just as equally. I use a couple of clips as well to hold things together while they're drying. And of course, after the glue, you want some scissors, and to make your shadow box so that things stand out, I use foam pads, or you can create your own spacers the way that you want to do it. So let's go ahead and download our asset and then upload it into Design Space. Just going to go over here to Design Space, and I'm going to go to my uploads. You have a couple of things that you want to look at here, and I have all 6 of these all ready for us. So for the first one, of course, is your 6-layered heart design. You want to add that to the canvas, and then box part 1, box part 2, box part 3, box part 4, and box part 5. So you have a total of 6 items you're going to add to your canvas. So let's just add those to the canvas. I'll just take a moment or two. Now you'll notice, because the box one comes in black, this is from a designer from Creative Fabrica, so you can always go to Creative Fabrica and look for 3D shadow box. Even though I've given you the template, you can go ahead and grab yours there as well. Now they've noticed that they've put everything in black here, so what I'm going to do is just select these black pieces. I'm just going to use my shift key, and hopefully it'll just allow me to pick on these black parts, just one at a time. And I think there's one more. Those are all the black. You'll see the black coloring. I'm just going to change that to a light yellow. It just enables us to see, and I see I missed the frame here itself, and I'm just going to change that. I'm going to change that one to a nice deep red so that I can see everything that's there. With the black coloring, you cannot see the black lines. And of course, we have a few things that we need to do before we get to our major design. I'll just move that out of the way. We're going to work on these things one at a time. So I'm just going to grab this. Just going to slide it over a bit. What I want to do is work on things one at a time. The interior lines of these are score lines, and you can see it highlighted here. It has the color, which is the background, the cut. But if I click on the box itself, you'll see that this turns red. We are going to change that to a score line. If I click away, you'll see the score line. Now I want to highlight both of these together, and I want to attach it. Perfect. So now I can just slide this out of the way. Let's grab the next set here. And with the next set, you'll find 2 things. One here and another one here. Click and shift click. They turn red. You're going to make those score lines. And then we're just going to take both of these together, and because they're close enough together, we are going to attach them. And move that out of the way. Let's grab the next set. Same thing. The part that is not yellow in the selection, which is this one. and this one comes up red. I'm going to change those to score lines, and then I'm going to grab all of this and attach it. And then our final piece here that has interior lines, always in the layers panel, no coloring. This turns red, and I'm just going to click on score. Now you may wonder why all these score lines are red. Is because I take them through my score line part and I make them red so that I know they are score lines. Okay, so our box is pretty well ready. It does have a frame that goes on the outside. I don't have anything I need to do with that. So now let's take a look at our project. I'm just going to move these down here. And this is going to be a number of layers. And what I want to do is just ungroup this for now so we can see what's going on. This is the one at the very top. And you'll see that this is nice and clean. This is going to be at the very top. We don't have to touch anything. The next one here is another color. You'll see the number 5. Now this is going to be on the top. This is the number 5. This will cut out so you will be able to identify each piece as it goes through. So we can suspect that this is going to be number 4, which fits in behind here. The next one, number 3, then 2, and then of course there's a back one. Now we'll use the back one if you don't want a light in your shadow box. If you want a light, we are not going to be using this piece because you want the light to shine through everything. But there are different ways that we can handle this. Now we're all ready. Everything is pretty well ready, so you'll want to save your project. I've already saved mine in the past. And of course we want to go out over to our machine and we want to go ahead and make it. So let's just click on make it here. Now the colors that you pick will depend on what you want. Now this will fit an 8.5 by 11. As you'll notice, it doesn't come down that far. So 8.5 by 11 works. So if you have a nice medium cardstock in 8.5 by 11, this works perfectly. Now on the mat, that's, you know, these are the colors that are going through. If for some reason it puts the box pieces in front, but these are all the layers. Now this is the top frame, which you want in a coordinated color. This is another one and another one, another one. So you're going to have, in this case, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and of course 6, 7 different red or reddish colors for this project. And then I had said 4 of these because quite often I will cut this frame, the plain frame, in the same color as these, and I hadn't set it up that way. These ones will all be in a heavier cardstock. So number 3, number 4, number 5, and of course number 6. Now, a word of caution when you're going to come through with this. I'm just going to continue and I want to show you what I want you to do. I'm going to select my device, which is my maker. It doesn't have to be a maker. These are all fit 8.5 by 11, so an Explorer of any kind will work. What I want you to do for the big cuts with all the design, this one, not this one, but when you get down further to these kind of designs, I want you to click on Browse All Materials. And I want you to type in Intricate. I want you to put in cardstock for intricate cuts. And done. And the reason being that it will do 2 passes, light passes on your paper, so that it doesn't rip and tear. If you leave it as just medium cardstock, you're looking for it to end up doing a tear here and there, and it just ruins your design, and that's not what you want. All right, let's get these all cut. I know there are 10 of them, and then we're going to start putting things together. All right, I have all kinds of pieces and parts here. I have the 6 cutouts for the love. And this will probably be the easier part to put together. So I have the top piece, number 5 in the little corner here. The number 5 comes next. Then the one with the little number 4 down in the corner. Then we have the 3 and a 2. And if we decide a backing, we also have a number 1. So we want to put all of these together, but we want to make sure that they are far enough apart that they give a nice shadowy effect. And the problem with intricate cuts like this, so we could have it as close together as we want like this, or I can separate it out so that it gets a nice shadow on the go. Well, I like to use a nice shadow. Now I don't need my glue until we get to the box part. I like to use foam pads. These work extremely well for putting little pieces together. That way I can just put them into the corners. Let me just move this up a bit. I'll just move my pad out of the way. So I'm just put these into the corners. I actually put, because this is a larger piece, I'm going to put 4 across each side. So let's just get these 4 into place, and we'll grab the next 4. And none of these will show through because you can see where everything is going with this. This is going to be a little more difficult corner. Just grab it. Just want to make sure we get into the corner, but not onto the heart. And a couple more down here. You can buy your foam pads. I've seen them in the dollar store, so they're not that expensive. You just grab a whole set and series of them. Now the best part here is you want to take all of those apart. I just use my weeding tool and just drag the top parts off. Now these are pretty sticky. Let's just grab these off. The reason I start with the top one is that I like to line things up and know that I am going to see the one below it first without everything going awry. Okay. Just takes a second or two to get them all off. May wonder where I'm throwing these. I have this little bucket that I use for my scrubs. I'm just going to move that frame out of the way so we can all see what's going on here. One more right here. All right, so now we want our next layer, which is 5, which we want to measure and make sure that it's going to equal right to the corners, because it's going to be really hard to pull off if we don't get it exact. Okay, we want to push it this way. Might be easier to go this way. You get the bottom lined up, then the rest of it will just fit into place. Now you can add an extra one in the middle if you wanted to, just to give it a little more depth in the center. I think I might add, I think I have some smaller ones here. No, I don't. Okay, so I'll just take one of these because I want a little more depth in the middle. And that's where we do things one at a time. I'll just add one in here. You can add a smaller one. I don't like that one. It's too big. So I'm going to give it a cut. Just want a small piece. So I just grab that small piece and put it in the center. As you can see, it sticks out a little more that way. I think I might add a couple more of these. I'm just taking one pad and just making it into smaller pieces. Especially when you have a lot of detail like this, you want to make sure that everything is going to fit the way you want it to fit. There, that gives it a lot more depth and definition. I'm not going to worry about this side. But that looks great. So I have an extra little piece here. Maybe I'll do the top of the L for the love. And it's just a matter of how much depth you want, or how much detail you want to put into place. Just grab this. Get the top piece off. So I could add more. I can add more later as I want to go. Now we're great. We've got the first 2 layers. So we're going to continue to do the same thing as we work through our other layers as well. And it's just a matter of putting the pads down. I'm going to be really lazy with this one. I'm going to only put 3. I can cover up my 5 now. I'm not too worried about it anymore. It just takes a little bit of time to get all of this into place. Okay, same thing. Now you don't have to use foam pads. You can use anything you want for spacers, and then you can add some spacing to it in the center any way you want. So this would be a good time to think about any extra spacing that we want to see here, because it'll all be buried behind this. So I'll just show you a little idea I had in order to do that. Right, we are ready to add our number 4 here, or we've got 4. Yeah, number 4. Okay, so this is going to go number 4 down in the corner. See, I've got a little extra piece here that didn't quite cut. Now, same thing, I am going to line up the bottom. And by lining up the bottom to the edges, quite, the bottom one makes it really a lot easier once you've got the straight line going. Perfect. As you can see, our 3D design is starting to turn out really beautifully. We've got some double, and you can add more foam pads in between. So now we are ready to add some more foam pads, and we're adding our white layer. Okay, so we're going to do the corners. I do like to add at least 1 on the side, if not 2. To find out where the other one is here. It's right about there. I try to match them up as much as possible. Right there. Now I'm going to add some to the middle here again. I want to keep some nice layers. I think I'll do it on a triangle like this. I'm going to add it to the L right here. And maybe the E right here. Okay, so now we're ready to do this next one. There's only a couple more to go. Now we're going to have to add this other one now, so we were going to the number 3 down here. We want to get that lined up to that corner, and then we're really good. And then we can just press this down, just like that. Now we're getting so it's more detailed on the side. So let's go ahead and just keep adding our different pieces here. Okay. Just a couple more to go with this, and then we'll start assembling our frame. Now the depth isn't as much of an issue on this one. I'm going to add one to the E as usual, and I want to add some to the L here. Don't want it to show through. No, that looks really good. We can use thicker and thicker pieces as it goes through, and the reason we can use thicker pieces because there's less showing through. So let's just grab all of these off of here. I just love these little shadow boxes because you can get some really creative, cute designs. All right, we are ready to line this up with number 2. Let's get that corner straightened away right there. Bring it straight across. That looks really good. So we've got this really great design. Now we can decide whether we want to have the red show up in behind depending on what you want on your shadow box. For me, I'm going to not add a light into the back, so I'm going to add this last one. So I'm just going to turn this over. We're going to do the same thing again, but I'm not going to add anything to the middle because it does not really matter at this point. Foam pads just make life so much easier. And having our design numbered really helps. Now you can also, you know, there's tons of designs like this at Creative Fabrica. And you can download tons of them. It just doesn't have to be things that I'm working on or using. Better go this way. Be more efficient with it in this direction. And get the last one into place here. It's just how you line things up with the shadow box. They're a lot of fun to put together. This one's a little bit different in that we're just putting this together and then we're just going to use a standard frame and put it in. There's a couple of frames that you can use. I'm just going to show you how to use this particular one that I used from Creative Fabrica. All right, we are ready for number 1. And once again, you just want to line that corner up line it up. And there we have the first part of our shadow box. This is a beautiful texture. As you can see, our layers right here, quite a few of them, but it comes up with this great texture. All right, let's just put this aside for now. I'm going to just put my glue pad down here. What we're going to do is start putting together all of the parts and pieces of the shadow box that we're going to be using. Now, there are two pieces that look like this, and you're just going to use your scraper tool and make those folds. Get each part of this folded into place. This is going to be the back of the box. You may wonder what this is all about. Well, we're going to be able to open and close the box based on this. So that's the back of the box. And I'm just going to use the scraper tool here. Get all of our folds in place. And there we go. And of course we want to have these corners all glued up. So we can use, I'm just going to use my tacky glue for this one, just to make it easy. I know with the tacky glue sometimes it is, you have to hold things in place, but that's why I wanted a few clips. Just going to hold that in place, then I can just have them sit there. That looks really good to that corner. I'm going to do the same thing on this corner. Rub it into place. Then I can just set it aside. The important part here is to square everything off. And I try to look at the corners here to make sure things are squared. They are. All right, one part of the box, I can set that aside. Going to do the same on this edge here. Just add my little bit of glue. Might as well add it here too. Just gets a little extra in there. Same with this, I like to smear it around a bit, and then I use a wipe to clean my fingers. Now same thing here, we want to square things up. That looks really good. I'm just going to add one of these little clips in place just to hold it. Then we can set it aside to dry. The big thing is you want to get these squared up. Just move this a little bit. Want everything to fit together properly. Just move it over to the edge. Check this one as well. I think I'll turn the clip around. Just get it into place. I want it nice and clean edge. There we go. Okay, another piece to set aside. So basically you were wondering about these extra pieces. So what happens when we put it in the frame? We want to be able to open it, so I'm going to weave this in and out like this. So you have a little door that is going to, you're going to be able to open and close when you have your light. So it's just easy to take apart. Okay, let's just set those aside, let those dry. Now, we have to take our frame, and I made it a very thin frame. I wish I had made it a little better than that, but I didn't. Now you have different pieces that are going to fit in here. A couple of them match, a couple of them have straight edges like this, no flap. These ones have a flap. So let's grab our scraper tool and let's get some creases going here. And you even have the little tabs. So we want to have everything here. Just put that on there for now. Nice and crisp. Little tabs. We've got two like that. And then of course you've got two the other way. Tab. Same thing with all of this. Great. So now we have our frame in the middle. So what we want to do is take two of these pieces, just like this, and they are going to fit in. And of course, two pieces like this. Should be able to fit this one in right here, just like this. And you want the other curved pieces to fit in beside it. So the first thing we want to do is glue the top and the bottom piece, and then I'll get to the other ones. So I am actually going to apply the glue to the frame. It just makes it a lot easier. And we're almost done here. So we just apply it to the frame. I'm just going to do this one at a time. Take my finger, just spread it across. Now the key here is to make sure things line up. I'm just going to turn this around so I can see it. We want to be able to line things up here. So we want our frame to line up from the corner inside the frame here to the corner inside the frame here. So you want a perfect line up. Move this just a little hair. As you can see, it's matching corner to corner here. So the other part of it is when I flip it over, I don't want the white showing. So I've got to back this off a little bit, and this is why I use a tacky glue. You don't want your frame. I could have made the frame all the same color. That would have made it easier, but you wouldn't be able to see what I'm doing here. It's a little bit like that. Okay, I can always be on the safe side here and just add a couple of clips just to make sure I'm holding everything into place the way I want it. Extra on the frame. Don't want any of that white showing. There we go. Okay, so we have one piece in place. Just be on the safe side. I'm just going to add a third clip here while we turn it around, and we do the same thing to the other side. Okay, just like this. Okay, so let's just smooth that into place. Now we need the equivalent one on the other side. And once again, you want to match things up to those corners. You don't want it to go beyond it. Just matching it up. Matching it up. Once we get this first one in, it is not that bad. I'm just smooth that down. Once again, I want to turn this over so I can see what's going on here. I've got a little bit of the white showing, but not much. That looks really good. I'll just grab a couple of more of my little clips here. I'm just going to clip it in place. Just don't want it sliding around. Just clip it in place here. I think I should be okay. I don't need one in the center. Great, so we have the first part already. Now we have to slide our other pieces inside here, and that's going to be a really key piece when we put those into place too. I'm going to add some more clips to my desktop here. All right, next piece. See, this one's not quite lined up where I want it, right here. Just line that up. Always double checking. All right, same thing. We are going to now fit this into place. So I'm going to add my glue here. Just right into here. Just add the glue. Perfect. Okay, so I'm just going to fold my piece here. We want to slide it in so that it actually fits these little miter pieces that we have here. Get that to fit in. Edges right in there together. So we're just going to slide right in. bring this one up just a tiny hair. There, that one fits in beautifully. A couple of clips here. We should be okay on that one. Okay, let me just flip it around, and of course we're going to do the same thing on the other side. You can see things are getting heavy here. Not much more gluing to do, but we have a tiny bit. Okay, let's just add our glue in here. I like to cake it as much as possible, but keep it thin, but enough that you can actually move your extra piece into place. Okay, just going to move that into position. Just slide it into place. Make sure our miter corners are working. They are. And that one matches as well. Okay, a couple more little clips. We just want that piece to dry. Now, the next thing, when those are dried, we're going to glue the edges together, and then we're going to add our top and bottom, and then finally we can place our layered hearts into place. Now, I don't want to push this too fast, but it feels pretty dry in this corner. This is the last one we put on. Just grab those clips out of the way. Same with this one. I think we're dry enough that we'll be able to work at least on this one corner. Feels pretty dry. Alright, I'll just leave that last one in place. So, just turning this around so I can see it, I'm going to add glue here. Cloth. Just line our frame up. I'm just going to add the clip here because I want to make sure that it stays in position, although it looks like it's going to dry there pretty nicely. There we go. All right, I'm going to do this next one here. This is a nice thick box frame, so it gives you a lot of room to put a light in behind if you really want to. Get that nice and lined up. Again, I just want to put the clip in just to hold it into place. Alright, we just have two more to put together here, so I think I will take this apart. So we're going to add the glue to this one. You see our box frame starting to look really, really good. Okay, let's just add my clip here just to keep it together. One more to go here, and then we can put the back and the design inside. Just to make sure it dries in place. So now we have the frame part, and then we can add the backing momentarily. But what we want to be able to do now is just sort of add our design inside, so you can decide whether you want it close or otherwise. Now generally what we would do is just place it inside. I put my foam pads inside, and then we have this beautiful little shadow box. Now remember, the space in the back here, it was designed so that you could put a light, so you would take off your back piece and add your light in the back. But we're not going to do that today. I'm simply going to add my foam pads. I'm going to add 6 of them all the way around. Okay, I'm just going to pause while this dries. I'll be right back. Okay, just a couple of more foam pieces to go inside here. I think I'm going to actually do 4 down across here because I want it to really look incredible. One here, and I'm just going to just add an extra one here. Awkward to get into. Okay, so last but not least, we want to make sure all of this is glued into place. We're going to take the tops off of these. Into the corner. Okay, we will Great. Got it. And one more. Oh, got it. Okay, I'm going to take these extra little clips off right now. So we are ready to place our design inside. And let me just start by pressing it into place off one side. We'll just slide it down. What I want to do is make sure that we have it nice and square. There we go. And now we have our beautiful little, oh, this is gorgeous. Now, the last piece you want to put together, just take our clips off. You'll see that there's these little tabs. This is what we're going to use to put the backing on. And it just makes it easy if you want to put some lights in behind. So let me just grab this one. And you'll see it has 3 slots. So we're going to add slots here. Just grab it. It goes into this one. Now you can glue those in place, or just get it in there. There we go. These are just to hold this all into place and make it easy to take it off in the long run. Let me just grab this other one here that's going to slide into this slot. So as soon as I see it, my finger's in there. Let's grab it in there. Now you can glue this into place if you want. I'm having a hard time with getting that one into the slot. Just have to look down. There we go, finally have that into place. Now you can glue this one down and just make sure that you know, it stays in place, or you can just leave the tabs the way they are. And this is an easy way to get in and out and look for the other pieces. Now you may be wondering, you know, how are you going to put the rest of this together? Well, I want to get that into the slot to start. And these will slide in, and we just pull these up and slide it into place. So you don't actually have to glue the back piece in at all. You can if you want, and then you can just open it up as you need it. So let me just move that out to the outside. So here we have, I'm just going to move this one around too so we can see it a little better. So here we have our beautiful shadow box with some depth to it. We put the box together, and we also put the shadow box. So you can make it thicker and you can make it further apart. It doesn't really matter. What you need is the cardstock for all of this. I used foam pads, and I used a tacky glue, and of course a bunch of clips, and of course I needed my weeding tool, and I needed my scraper. Didn't have to use the scissors, but it could have been a possibility. If you really wanted to, you could have used a glue gun to put the box pieces together. I prefer to use my tacky glue because I can slide it around and get it into position. So this is our gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous box, shadow box with lots of depth to it. And of course, if you want to put a light in, easy enough to do.